All right, Summer. So we have all of these images that you had turned in before, and for right now, I'm just going to delete these because they're so far removed from what you're working on. I don't see them as images you're going to continue to work on for this portfolio. And if we just look at these, they're really cohesive. They're coming together really well. So something I notice when I look at, let's see. Just want to move this and then move. I don't know why there's two of those. One says edited. I don't know if I did that or if you did that. If we just look at these images, we can see that there's a lot of negative space above each of your subjects. And I actually am a little bit bothered by that because compositionally I don't think it's the smartest move. But when we start to see the repetition of it, I'm curious if there's a reason for that, because to me it opens up this space for these young girls to grow into. It seems like there's some symbolism behind this, and there's space physically above for them to grow into, or there's space above them for them just to fill out their personalities, or there's the wondering of what's happening next. So maybe I'm reading too much into that. But it's something to consider. Why are you repeating that negative space above your subjects? What is that adding to your images? Or is it just something you haven't been thinking about? In which case, maybe we delete that, right? Maybe you edit that in. I'm also curious about the sizing on these. Let's see. Yeah, so they're all a little bit random in the size. Are these two the same? No. So when we put together our portfolio, it starts to become very apparent as we're flipping through the pages when images are all different sizes. It feels like the photographer wasn't as intentional with their original crop, and now they're trying to make up for it in post-processing. So I would encourage you, and maybe that's why this image was edited by me. I have no idea. I would encourage you to have these traditional sizes. So take whatever your camera, you have a Canon, so that 2000 by 1333, those dimensions, which are 3 by 2, you can continue to repeat those, and that's going to look more succinct than the adjustment of the sizes for cropping. So 3 by 2, 2 by 3, or square images. If you just rotate between those 3 different dimensions, it'll work really well together. Now let's take a closer look at these 3 images. So here you have this young girl. This has less of that painterly feeling. She's posed with her little outfit on and this leaf over her eye. The lighting on her is very pleasing as that's coming across her face. You have a nice catch light in her eyes. And there's a grown-up feeling about all of these images, really. Like the girls have, it looks like a little bit of makeup on, a little bit of lip gloss on. And because you're kind of smoothing out their skin, there's this, grown-up feeling about them. So between these two, you would probably only choose one of these 2 images. And I think this image is stronger given your intent with your project, your idea that you want these to look very painterly, and you want them to, in my mind, and maybe I'm misled by this, but you want them to be more reminiscent of paintings and having that classic feel to them. And this feels more like that. And here with the leaf, this is an adorable picture, but it feels more like just a normal photo shoot. It doesn't feel as formalized as the other images. This image has much more formal feel to it. The lighting looks good on it. I'm just looking at the dodging and burning that you say you're doing here. It's looking pretty good. I would just watch the lines. It seems like some things are a little bit sharper and others aren't. And it doesn't really bother me looking at it as an image here, but I'm concerned about when you print it out, the realistic feel of it. So it might be good for you to go ahead and print some of these out just to make sure that the feeling that you're looking for on the computer is still coming through when they're getting printed out. I don't want you to spend all this time on them and then realize there's a divide where there's a sharpness maybe on her nose is where I was looking, and then that doesn't look right compared to the work you've done on her cheeks. And then this image, again, goes back to that really classic feel. It has a painterly feel to it. You have beautiful light coming across her. In this instant, I would probably open up the other side of her face a little bit more with a reflector, so it's not falling into so much shadow, and then you could get a little bit more of a catch light on her eye. The focus falls off quickly on the hair. I think that works well. Just opening it up a little bit more with a reflector, I think, is all you would need, or another light would work fine too. But we don't want it as bright as this side, right? We want it like half as bright as this side. I think that would work pretty well. Something else I notice when I'm looking at these as a series, which is always different than when we're looking at individual images, but as you're looking at them as a series, we're going to start to compare the background, and that the background is brighter and then duller and then kind of in between here. So that's something you want to make sure is consistent in your series. And the way you can do that is just by lighting the background separately. So you're getting some consistency on the background that's different than what you're expecting the light to be on your subject. You can adjust the light on your subject and it won't affect the tonality of the background, because this black background works fine, right? That looks good. And then here, you start to see that it's the same background, but it's colored differently. So making that adjustment that those all match, or that they're drastically different, like the black, or you have pure white, that would be fine also, but that's another consideration for you. I think you're on the right track with this. Looking at these as you're putting them together, this image starts to fall out, right? This doesn't feel like it matches these, like, I don't know, I don't have kids, but like the tween ages, it feels like. Like loss of innocence or growing into yourself and what's next in your life, that feeling is definitely coming through. And that actually brings up a photographer that I'll post in here for you to reference.